Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew with Living History's Mysteries and Ferocious Feline Productions. You know, going through these different histories and studying some of the most prolific killers in not just the history of America, but the history of the world, I tend to always want to fall, you know, to the dark side.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
No, wrong dark side. Jesus. But I look at these, operatum mirandi of these killers, and I become fascinated with researching them and studying them. And one in particular that we've done in the past, um, probably the most mysterious killer that's ever existed. It's been over 100 years since his last killing that we know of, and still to this day, the mystery remains unsolved. Of course, we are talking about Spring Hill Jack, the apron, Jack the Ripper. Check this out. This is good.
Serial killers, despite being some of the most malevolent humans, never cease to captivate and fascinate us. Some of the most notorious include Ted Bundy, the educated lunatic who killed numerous young women in the 1970s, Jeffrey Dahmer, known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, and John Wayne Gacy, arguably the most terrifying clown in history. Across the pond in the UK, there was Dr. Death, Harold Shipman, arguably the most prolific serial killer of modern times, with around 250 victims. Ed Gein didn't kill many people, but his macabre hobby of making clothes and ornaments from body parts inspired numerous horror films. Today, however, we're diving into one of the most enigmatic serial killers ever. Why was Jack the Ripper never found? Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button to join our notification squad. The mysterious identity. We can't begin with a proper introduction of Jack the Ripper because his true identity remains unknown. Alongside the Zodiac Killer, Mr. Ripper is one of the greatest mysteries in the gory realm of serial murders. Let's delve into his gruesome deeds. Jack the Ripper's killing spree, which involved murdering and disemboweling women on the streets of London, terrified the British public in the late 19th century. Most of his crimes occurred in the slums of East London, specifically the Whitechapel district, earning him the nickname the Whitechapel Murderer. He was also referred to as the Leather Apron. The name Jack the Ripper originated from a letter he supposedly sent to the police, known as the Dear Boss letter. The horrific acts. So, what exactly did Jack do? In the 1880s, East London was a place of utter squalor. Immigrants from across the globe flocked there for work, often without success. The overcrowded streets were filled with what the English might call habitual boozers, and women of ill repute loitered on many corners. Immigrants were blamed for the surging crime rates and congested streets. Racism was rampant, along with fights and robberies. The police were overwhelmed, as London teetered on the edge of social unrest and rioting. In 1888, they were stunned when a murderer emerged, who was unlike any they had encountered before. The Canonical Five. It is believed he could have killed up to 11 people, but police confirm he definitely murdered 5, known as the Canonical Five, forming his killer canon. 11 bodies may not seem significant compared to killers like Ted Bundy, but while Bundy was a necrophile, the Ripper had arguably even stranger proclivities. As his name suggests, he used a knife, slashing throats and bodies, sometimes to shreds. He also mutilated women's genitals, made numerous incisions on their bodies, and skillfully removed their internal organs. This surgery often involved removing the kidneys, uterus, or other parts of the abdomen. Sometimes, he would disfigure the women's faces beyond recognition. The media frenzy. Due to the abysmal dismal conditions in East London at the time, it's uncertain if other murders were his work or just copycats. Jack the Ripper was a media sensation, and the frenzied, mostly working-class public devoured this grim story with the same enthusiasm modern audiences might consume horror tales in the dubious tabloid, the Daily Mail. The police worked tirelessly to identify the culprit, interviewing thousands and detaining over 80 people. Rewards were offered for information, prompting even ordinary citizens to investigate. East London was patrolled by cops around the clock, with amateur detectives close behind. The investigation. Police focused on individuals with certain occupations, as removing a uterus is not a common skill. Jack was reputed to be an expert with his blade, leading them to scrutinize butchers, surgeons, doctors, and anyone who might dismember bodies for a living. Numerous letters claiming to be from the Ripper were received by the police, but the most famous was the From Hell letter. Believed to be genuine, it was postmarked October 15th, 1888, and read, "Mr. Lusk, I'm sending you half the kidney I took from one woman. I preserved a piece of it for you. The other piece I fried and ate. It was very nice. I may send you the bloody knife that took it out if you wait a while longer. Signed, Catch me when you can, Mr. Lusk." The letter's writer appeared barely literate, raising questions about whether the killer was a surgeon, or if a well-educated person was just being cheeky. Suspects. Over time, many suspects have been proposed. The primary suspect was a verified sexually insane doctor named Montague John Druitt, found dead in the River Thames about a month after the last Ripper murder. He was well-educated and posh, but considered of unsound mind. Another suspect was Polish immigrant Zoran Klasowski, who poisoned and killed 3 of his wives before being hanged. Wealthy trader James Maybrick was also a suspect. His diary, found in Liverpool in 1992, described a murder spree targeting women because his wife had been unfaithful. The diary concluded with the words, "I give my name that all know of me, so history do tell. What love can do to a gentleman born, yours truly, Jack the Ripper." Police also suspected a man they dubbed a Mad Russian named Michael Ostrog. The favorite conspiracy theory, however, involves Prince Albert Victor Christian Edward, the Duke of Clarence and grandson of Queen Victoria. This aristocrat died in an asylum after syphilis destroyed his mind. Though he allegedly wasn't in London at the time of the murders, many believe he was the killer. Another prominent suspect was Aaron Kosminski, whose mitochondrial DNA was found on a victim's shawl. His occupation? Barber. German merchant sailor Karl Feigenbaum admitted to mutilating women, and his lawyer claimed he was the Ripper. He later moved to America, where he murdered a woman and was executed in the electric chair. Modern theories. In the 20th century, 2 more names were suggested. Some Ripperologists, yes, that's a term, believed they found the culprit. One was artist Walter Richard Sickert, whose DNA was linked to the murders. The impotent artist frequently painted prostitutes. Lastly, there was Francis Craig, a reporter who covered the murders. Another intriguing suspect was Lewis Carroll, author of Alice in Wonderland. His real name was Charles Ludwig Dodgson, a great writer, but also suspected of being a pedophile. A friend claimed to have seen diary entries connecting Carroll to the murders. Why he was never caught. So why did the police never catch him? Many believe it was the Mad Prince. If he was the killer, the police couldn't have arrested him due to the monarchy's power and influence. A murderous prince would have been a devastating threat to national security and a major blemish on England's ruling class. If the commoners were already fighting in the streets, a Ripper prince might have caused widespread chaos. Jack the Ripper was also a meticulous murderer, which is why many suspect-educated individuals. He left few clues in a time when police relied heavily on catching criminals in the act or having reliable witness testimonies. There was no DNA testing, no fingerprinting, no psychological profiling, no CCTV, and the public was often unhelpful, hating the cops. He primarily killed poor people and prostitutes, who were not highly valued in those days. Some Ripperologists even speculate there could have been 2 killers, as 2 murders with Ripper trademarks once occurred simultaneously. Considering London's dense population of 4 million, many murders went unsolved in those dark, grimy streets. The police were inexperienced and lacked modern technology. They were so desperate that they even dressed as women and patrolled the East End, hoping the killer would strike them. So, who do you think Jack the Ripper was? Do you have any compelling theories? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.
Welcome back. You know, it's like I was saying in the beginning. It's been over 100 years since the last Ripper murder that they know of. What happened to Jack? Why did he disappear as mysteriously as he appeared? Did he change his name? Was he actually caught? Did he come to America and continue his killing spree? There's a lot of unsolved murders out there, and some of them did fit the appearance of Ripper-style murders. They've got their ideas on who it could have been, and even modern police work, modern science has helped them to develop even more potential identities for the Ripper. Will we ever find out the truth? God only knows. But until they do, the Ripper murders and the identity of Jack the Ripper will remain one of those mysteries that history left behind. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. God bless you, God love you, we do. And we'll see you out there.